Alright guys, we got the box set up right here behind me. We're going to be discussing the box squat now. And honestly, here's the deal. With the box squat, I take kind of the same approach as Westside. I don't really back squat all that often. I believe it's a very important factor in any program, but I've found that it beats me up. It's just one of those movements that require a lot of your body, and that's what makes it so powerful. But at the same, on the flip side of that, if you're in it for the long haul and you're trying to progress every time, I've found that the box squat is the way to get that done, right? Not to mention, most people are quad dominant, which means when they squat, they basically keep this forward position. You can see my shins are angled forward. That's basically just a sign that the quads are taking most of the workload whenever we squat. Nothing really wrong with it, but it's not going to unleash that potential for big numbers in the back squat and deadlift. So when we talk about the posterior chain and developing that, it's in order to kind of even out the quad to hamstring ratio. Like I said, most of us are quad dominant. The box squat is what I found. There's tons of tools that I like to use, but the box squat is the best one I've found for developing just raw speed and power, developing it from the hamstrings and hips, right? So we're going to discuss this, and what I want you to keep in mind is that my position for back squat and box squat is exactly the same as far as the barbell is concerned as in the placement. Now the biggest thing you'll also notice, I'm kind of giving you guys a money shot right here. Sorry about that, but it's just me right now, so I got to do my best, right? When I set my feet up, it's a much wider stance, okay? If you've read any of my past blogs, wide will always transfer to narrow, okay? So let's take it into a real life example. If I get super strong in my box squat, just like the other day, 405 back squat, or I'm sorry, box squat. That's a PR for me. I automatically know that my back squat has gone up as well, okay? So I matched my previous back squats PR on the box. I know this is kind of getting complicated, but if I know I can match it here, okay, when I go to narrow, I know automatically that my back squat has gone up as well. Okay, so it's a pretty cool way to get strong, but it's also a great indicator as to where your back squat should be. Cool. So we'll talk a little bit about that a little bit more in depth in the future, but let's go back to the positioning. Your wide stance here elicits a more direct response from your hamstrings. Wide will crank on those hamstrings much more than narrow. Okay? When we set it wide, it also creates tension in the hips. Okay? Firing from those glutes to get back up. The biggest thing, the biggest aspect on the box squat, and I cue my people on it, hopefully you guys can see this. I'm sitting kind of goofy here, but when I sit down on the box, you'll notice my shins are angled back, okay? And you'll see this in real time when I grab the bar, but this is kind of the position I'm striving for. When I put my butt on the box, this is exactly where I want to be. Now let's talk about that. If we're quad dominant, and an indicator of that is our shin laying forward, what do you think that means? It means we're going to have to pull our ass off this box with our hamstrings. That's exactly what we want. We want to develop that strength. So, as I stand up from the box, boom, I have to pull myself forward. You can see it in my shins. It's a pull and then a fire through the hips. And it's an aggressive movement. It's down, up. Cool? So, let me load up this bar and we'll show you a little bit more in detail. Now, I know you can't see the bar right now. You can barely see my face, cutting off my own head. But it's exactly the same position as it was for the back squat. So don't feel like you're getting left out of anything special here. So I'll load it up. Get tight and down low. Square your feet up right underneath your hips, and then stand up, take your steps back, and find your box right here. Now, again, you can see me, I'm much wider in the box squat than the back squat. And we know why. We're trying to get more response from the hamstrings. We're also isolating a little bit more of the hip and glute. So, once you're set, again, it's a deep breath in, and we tighten up, kick the butt back, drive the knees open, and we're sitting, and hopefully you can see my shin angle, maybe on this left leg, the far leg, you can see that angle is back. I'm still driving my knees out, I've still got a lot of tension built up in my body, but then as soon as I'm ready to go, I pull myself forward and drive my hips through. Right there. And it's explosive. The faster you do it, the more chance you have of getting it right. So down, boom, up, down, up, fast. Okay? Let me rack it up. Okay? Now, as far as the height goes, you can see I'm not hitting full depth as far as CrossFit's concerned. My hips are pretty much parallel with the top of my knee. The hip crease is right at the top of the knee. Okay? Our goal here, you can vary this up. I do deep box squats, I do high box squats. You can vary it up. But for general purposes, I would go to right at parallel. All right? Let's see. More detail on the positioning. I mentioned that on the box, I'm staying very active, right? I can mimic that without the barbell here. Driving the knees out, and I'm squeezing everything down. So I'm very active right here. Mobility is going to be a big part of this as well. Some of us have such tight adductors that this position is going to be very awkward for us. In that case, own your shit, right? You better be stretching, rolling, getting yourself prepped in the right way, just like we discussed in the warm-up video 2 days ago. If you're tight, you need to fix that so that you can unleash that potential to, throw some serious weight around. If you're just expecting to get better magically, it's going to be a long road to silly strong, right? So we want to accelerate that as much as possible. Again, I would recommend K-Star's Mobility WOD for everyone. Everyone. That thing has done wonders for me, and it will do the same for you, and it will unleash some serious potential when it comes to throwing big weights around. So definitely check that out. But getting here is, one, a mobility thing, but it's also just an activity thing. If you cannot squeeze your glutes in this position, you've got to be doing some Jane Fondas, and you can look back on my blog for that as well. But the Jane Fondas basically stabilize the hip and lock it in so that once we start our drive up, boom, we can pull with the hamstrings and snap those hips through. Okay? Again, this is one of those movements that is very innate in people. It's very easy to pick up once you cue it correctly. It's also one of those things that if you just do it over time, it'll start to feel better and better. So this is something I would definitely recommend that you guys take on and implement in your programs. Typically when we start people with box squat, we start extremely light so that they just get the movement down. Sometimes I'll just have people air squat to this thing just so they get the idea of sitting back, making it big, and making it super active and explosive. When you start to load the bar up, again, we talk about max effort days and dynamic days. Dynamic days, we're cranking out 12 sets of 2 as fast as we can go. And it's down, up, next person, down, up. It's cranking, right? The max effort days, a little bit slower pace, but we still have that intention of moving the weight quickly. If you watch my 405 box squat, I had the mentality of a dynamic day. I wanted to move that weight in such a fashion that it was down, boom, and up. That's the only reason that thing came up as well as it did. I look back and I was pretty surprised with it. I was pretty stoked. The only reason that came up so quick is because I was trying to move it as fast as I possibly could. And the box squat is the tool for that. So one of those, hidden treasures of training that you guys definitely need to be taking advantage of. All right? That's pretty much it, guys. Hope you enjoyed the squatting day. I'm going to be discussing the deadlift here in the next couple days. But again, if you have any questions about any of the stuff that we've gone over today, drop a comment down, and we may be able to do another video more specifically addressing what you guys missed or what I didn't address in the video. So definitely let me know how it goes. Test it out, see what works best for you, and crank some heavy stuff, guys. All right, peace.